counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective, and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers, and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence that helps you keep your home.
Come on.
Call toll free 1-855.
Come on, can you get?
1-855. The number 2. Keep it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
There you go, mate. Have some meat, mate. Come on. There you go, mate. There you go. Have some meat, mate. There's some meat for you, mate.
Once a land, you know, here, people proud of you. Nothing changed upon their land, the bright land of foreign people, let them take of bread. And much land was on around, ground upon his head. Now such changes time has passed, let's about land. Now the power of my sons and was rising the praise of him. Surprise the young men the power. In the stars of my escape, they cast to the bed. Life was fucked up in our hearts, no change has not died. One day though we know not when the freedom we shall ride.
Good girl. Hey, puss, mate.
November 8, 2020, Incendiary Radio, Republic Broadcasting Network. Radio total complete overload, as you guys are all feeling as well. If you're just doing basic looking around. Ken and I were talking over the last few days, just sending messages to each other, and we're both basically, people are getting riled up, and we're starting to see the edges kind of starting to crumble in a lot of people's psyche that would traditionally be on our side. And I get it. Remember the serenity prayer God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, and the courage to, change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This process that we're seeing play out, I mean, I've talked pretty much ad nauseum about it. A lot of people have predicted that this was going to be the case. There's so many theories floating around, and I'll try to get into this, and the watermarks, the Pechenic stuff. I'm going to kind of look at both sides of this. You always want to remain hopeful, sure, that there was some, let's just say, people prognosticating, especially with 2018, what happened there, and the theft of the House of Representatives. There were things laid in place by executive order and so forth that people are really kind of zeroing in on now. That people are talking about sting operations and this and that, and this will all play out. It could be another dose of hopium for people. Like I was just over looking at veterans today, just for the hell of it.
You want some biscuits, Mike?
Yeah.
You want some biscuits, Mike?
They actually think that, this vote could be even close right now. Rather silly. Whether you like Trump or not, he had such the support and the ability to get crowds of people, whereas the other side, there was just nothing. These two candidates that were washouts. Bernie Sanders took his dive again, and it seems to me, looking at some of his videos, Rents, and was the other night played a video where he was on Jimmy Fallon and almost just really revealed the method beforehand. This whole thing with the Red Mirage, I played this weeks ago. This character, Josh Mendelson, tribe member, of course, Hawkfish CEO, a data analytics firm, all funded by Mike Bloomberg. $100 million allegedly to try to flip the Senate. So this Bloomberg and other tribesmen gave one of his little buddies a startup, and this Hawkfish. And this guy really needs to be looked at. This Mendelson.
Do you want some biscuits, Mike?
Character.
Did you want some or not, Mike?
Because the script that has played out is almost perfect.
Did you want some?
To this entire Red Mirage type of scenario that all of these people predicted. So,
you ready, Mike?
Ken, if you would get clip 1 ready, this is just kind of a rehash.
Again, man.
Because I know a lot of our memories get overloaded because, I was just trying to dig back into a few different websites looking for articles. The article was a day and a half, 2 days ago, and it's buried on the 4th or 5th page. This is how many articles people like Gateway Pundit are popping out and things of this nature, to where, or Zero Hedge, same thing. Zero Hedge bangs out so many articles that then you're trying to, I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, well, hell, I got to go back another page, and then you'll eventually find it. But anyway, I got a lot pulled up here, and I feel very, let's just say, pulled in 1,000 directions right now. But let's go back real quick. And Hawkfish CEO Josh Mendelson, over a month ago, talking about the Red Mirage. Go ahead and play clip 1.
A mirage, by definition, is something that appears to be there, but that doesn't really exist. And you have a model scenario called the Red Mirage. What does that mean?
The reason we talk about a red mirage is, in fact, because we believe that on election night, we're going to see Donald Trump in a stronger position than the reality actually is. We are sounding an alarm and saying that this is a very real possibility, that the data is going to show on election night an incredible victory for Donald Trump. That is likely to be what we see when every legitimate vote is tallied and we get to that final day, which will be someday after election day. It will, in fact, show that what happened on election night was exactly that, a mirage. It looked like Donald Trump was in the lead, and he fundamentally was not when every ballot gets counted.
You have a result on election night where it appears that Donald Trump has won, but a result after ballots are counted that show that Joe Biden has actually won.
That's right.
Let's get an obvious question out of the way first. Hawkfish is a company that's started by Michael Bloomberg, that does work for the DNC, that's doing work for pro-Biden super PACs. If I'm a Republican voter, an independent voter, a skeptical Democrat, why should I listen to you?
One of the things that we believe is that facts matter. It's not about disinformation or misinformation or using fear as a tactic. There are objective truths in this world today.
And how do you build your modeling? How are you basing your projections?
We essentially built a simulator where it's a sequence of sliders, and you just pull those sliders to start seeing what the scenarios will show you. What's it going to look like on election night? What's it going to look like the day after, and the day after that, and the day after that? In most every year, Democrats are more likely to vote by mail than Republicans, and that has only increased this cycle. We see in the data that twice as many voters intend to cast a ballot by mail than have ever before. They are disproportionately Joe Biden supporters. Because there are absolutely some ballots that were mailed and they get counted sooner because folks were
Are you getting
proactive.
into that mate, Mike?
Got it in as soon
All
as
right, go ahead and
possible.
stop it there. So this was well over a month ago. and
Oh,
so
you
let's
love
go
that
back
mate, don't you?
further. Okay. So Mendelssohn. Anyway, so the first thing up at Information Liberation. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu stabs the most pro-Israel president in history in the back. Okay. Bibi rushed to congratulate Joe Biden after he was prematurely declared president by the media amid a host of recount efforts. And then I scroll down. Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, Karl Rove, and Bill Kristol are all these characters rushed to congratulate Joe Biden after media calls the race. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mitt Romney and Bibi were roommates in some of their college years. Okay? And for those of you that don't know, the state of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia is where Bibi, it was his stomping ground in his younger years. And you got all these Jews, Governor Wolf, Shapiro, the Attorney General, so forth, Jews up the wazoo in charge of the state of Pennsylvania. You know, Doug Hagman is in Erie, Pennsylvania. YouTube ganked his channel, okay, in the last couple days. This is very interesting things to, and, you know, and it's so hard to keep all of this kind of collated and together. And so I'm having, I mean, my brain works a certain kind of way and yours works a different kind of way. And to try to keep a hold of all the stimuli and information coming our way, it's a task. And but this is part of the psyop to flood us. Okay, like I talk about the intellectual fetal position. I've been saying that for I don't know how long now, but this is where they want people. Now, I was listening to Alex Jones and some of Owen Schroyer today. Okay, Owen Schroyer from the War Room over there on InfoWars. So there's about to be a big caravan or whatever size caravan or numerous caravans. One of them's going to go out to San Francisco. This is what I kind of gathered. They're going to go try to really, I guess, put some sort of pressure on the Silicon Valley gang. Faceberg and Dorsey, who's trying to look like some little twink ISIS member now. You know, the Google gang, Sundar Pichai, all these thugs out there at Silicon Valley, tied in with the, you might as well just say Jewish banking cartel, communist China, you know, your Marxist managers, okay? Jewish banking cartel is basically your managers of worldwide Marxism. And you can tie the Jesuit order in there as well. The United States Council of Catholic Bishops has all recognized Biden as the president-elect, if you didn't know that. So that's basically direct Roman election interference, you know, just like the media. And so we're witnessing this. And look, this could be complete theater, and Trump could be in on it. And so, you know, you've got to make that determination on your own. I mean, I've got a lot of things up, and I'm going to try to get to, but, you know, I've been having conversations with folks that, you know, do a lot of heavy thinking about it, and then people come down in certain areas. You know, you watch guys that, you know, do work like the YouTuber from Enter the Stars, and some of these guys where they dig into kind of like the Trumpian motifs in Back to the Future 1 and 2, Fifth Tower, and all that strange stuff where, you know, there's a lot out there with Trump. He's a big cultural figure, celebrity. And so there's been a lot of kind of predictive programming thrown around with Trump. People, you know, say some of the people out there along those lines, they dig into the dimensions of Trump Tower in New York City and the shapes of, you know, and all this stuff. It's very interesting to kind of, you know, watch. But this, remember like about 4 years ago with Obama and Jay Johnson and Valerie Jarrett and all these characters where
No, good girl.
the whole 2016 election, the Russia thing, and then there were all these pushes and moves to federalize, you know, federal encroachment into the election system. And now look what we have. So previously we had the left-wingers pushing federal almost domination of the election systems because of foreign interference. Okay, so we've been our deep state at least has been interfering in everybody in the world's elections for quite a while now. And then these whiny Democrats, which were running a psyop, of course, they were talking about the Russians, especially, you know, involved in all our elections, while at the same time, the Chinese were balls deep in the rectum of the Democrats ever since Chinagate. Remember this in the 90s for those of you who are old enough. Yeah, the Chinese with Charlie Tree and all that crap with Chinagate, with the Clintons spending nights in the White House and all these bundlers and fundraisers for the Chinese. Wow, they want to, you know, do their little Alinskyite misdirections and throw everybody at Russia, who's got the GDP of around Italy. And while they're getting rammed by the Chinese, it's just fascinating to really try to keep all this in perspective. But so they wanted, you know, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz's computers and the DNC hack, all that, they were really wanting to, WikiLeaks, they wanted to really try to get DHS really involved with the election. And remember DHS trying to jump into various states' servers some years ago? Okay. Georgia, I think, was one of them. But then the 2018 sweep into the House where Pelosi becomes Speaker again. Now we can see how this was most likely massively fraudulent. And so now we've got this sting operation thing thrown out here. But anyway, so can almost look at this as a theatrical production to make the fraud so blatant, so horribly silly that you can get the right wing now to jump on board with some sort of a solution, okay, whether it's a blockchain oriented solution or what, to where everybody gets convinced that somehow you get a blockchain election system and there can't be any tampering and blah, 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 blah. Well, who designed the blockchain? You know, I just, when you look at some of these big tech, you know, the internet and the development of this intergalactic net, blah, 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 blah. You know, the people that develop these things, to try to convince me that somebody doesn't have a back door, whoever the master of the program is, and you know, they say that the blockchain's so transparent and blah 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 blah. I don't know enough about it, but I just know human nature, and I just, you know, you guys remember there was a black guy that designed a voting machine. And this was all over C-SPAN back probably 25 years ago. He had a voting machine designed where it spit out a receipt that the voters
Geez, you're a good girl. Hey.
Verify that that's where their votes were, and at the
bloody
same
good
time,
girl,
it would
that's your mate.
compute those votes internally in the software, and so that way you had redundancy to verify that, okay, this receipt that got spit out, this correlates to what the data stored in the server of these machines and so forth. So this guy was assassinated. And I can't remember the name of the machine, but I saw this on C-SPAN, and it's still in the recesses of my memory. But there's ways that, you know, even if, you know, now there's people talking about that this sting operation, that there was people in the federal government that put the uber surveillance into all these county centers and so forth and so on, and there's going to be mass arrests, and then I'm seeing articles where allegedly there were searches in the search engine spiking way up about, okay, penalties for election fraud, which makes the reader think, okay, there's a bunch of people scared that they're going to get popped or taking part in this massive election fraud. So my thing is this, when you look at the reorganization or consolidation or centralization of our voting systems, this could be one of the byproducts of this blatantly silly bringing in ballots in the middle of the night, the Chinese software in the machines, you've got the Hammer scorecard, Dominion, all the stuff connected to Soros, Carlyle, Clinton Foundation, 30 states, 47 states. I mean, you're reading this massive amount of data coming out from these alternative media websites, and is this going to fizzle? Is this going to fizzle right out and Biden becomes the president and we jump right back into the Paris Accords, the World Health Organization? You know, Alex Jones is making it seem like, you know, Biden and Kamala are going to throw us right into the gulags, and just, you know, Beto is going to get appointed gun czar. You know, this is fascinating to watch play out. There's people ready right now that seems to take up arms and so forth and so on. You know, I was reading some Jim Stone stuff today, and let's see. He was talking about Trump will still be their legitimate president when the hell the Democratic asshats and scamming media decided the Constitution didn't apply. The Second Amendment was written with exactly this kind of thing in mind. This should scare every living hell out of the types who stole the election. Let's see. I mean, there's just so much here. When you're talking of, and he's really ripping on anybody that doesn't think violence is the answer. Okay. There's a lot of people saying that it's time to go to an armed revolution, and we'll see. But I'm not ready to jump in and car with an AK and go run around and start shooting. I'm looking at things that I can't control, and it's just a lot of wild things going on out here. Romney, and this whole thing with Romney, remember his Cofer Black connection. Cofer Black sat on the Burisma board with Hunter Biden, and Cofer Black was Romney's intelligence advisor when he ran up in 2012. It's interesting that AMLO from Mexico, he's not going to be congratulating anybody until all these legal issues are resolved. So this Mexican president, he's not jumping in like all these other world leaders like Merkel and even Boris Johnson, this Jew from England, who's putting his people into full-blown lockdown, or he's attempting to. Now these kids in Liverpool.
Didn't eat much of that meat.
Try to actually put fences around these kids' colleges, dorms, and things. They're all going crazy. So a lot of people are thinking that if Biden is allowed to assume the pseudo presidency, that we're going into full-blown lockdown, mask mandates, contact tracing, the whole 9 yards. And this has all been kind of put out there by the transition team. I was looking at this transition integrity project stuff and the slime involved in that. And they were trying to say voter fraud in the United States is virtually non-existent. I mean, just wow. We've got and I've been kind of haranguing on this over the last number of weeks about how many traitors that we have in our midst, our fellow countrymen, born and raised here, but then poisoned by the academia system and the media to basically be turncoats. Nancy Pelosi wants to run around calling Trump and supporters domestic enemies. And that's just, the Alinskyite nature of these folks to project onto their adversary the exact same characteristics that they hold. It's fascinating psychologically to watch how these people can do it. Just think about these people, how hostile they are to their fellow citizens that could commit voter fraud.
You're doing good, aren't you, man?
These basically a lot of trash, hood rats, scumbag, commie types, Antifa type whites.
Good girl.
That would just outright cheat, stuff ballot boxes, actually write on, throw away people's ballots, fill out ballots. I mean, it's just fascinating. So I'm just going to go through some headlines. We're coming up on break, but 132,000 ballots in Fulton County, Georgia, have been identified, which are likely ineligible. President playing golf and telling people that they're going to win. Facebook and Twitter suspending accounts posting on Benford's Law. And I'll get into Benford's Law a little bit on the other side of the break. But the Stasi nature of the social media gangsters right now. Alex Jones, I got to give it to him. He predicted this weeks ago that it's right during election time, they're going to purge everything they don't want. And it's a fascinating time to be alive. We'll see you on the other side.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite. Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. 10 Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com. Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on for Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy plan. Mailing a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy plan for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads is 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings all know that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
All right, we are back. Subsidiary radio on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Goodbye, Bill Barr. There was never any reason to believe that Barr had a shred of honor. Short-sighted because Attorney General Barr and his forces have just begun to investigate the Dominion voting system software used in 30 states that's now known was defective on election night. Was defective software used on voting machines built with computer parts made in Communist China, and now shockingly sees the Clinton global initiative being tied to Dominion voting systems through what is known as the Delian Project, DELIAN. Though most critical to notice is that all software in America is compiled using the computer code platform Sonar Cube, QUBE. The same Sonar Cube, the FBI just sent out a warning alert about hackers using it to steal source code due to it being misconfigured. And with it being unknown now at this time how many software programs in America have been corrupted is why massive and extensive Benford's law investigations are now taking place. That most simply explained is the law of anomalous numbers used to find statistical discrepancies in large data sets. Right, Attorney General Barr and his Department of Justice used Benford's law as one of their conventional counterterrorism tools. Is also why Benford's law is used to find election fraud. And in the past few days, when Benford's law examined this election, it discovered massive voting fraud taking place. And this is why they're using that F, where you're getting these spikes. Where you're seeing this, kind of meme or image where it says fraud and it has the red and the blue lines where you see the blue going straight up. This is the Benford's law, principle. Okay. Socialist Democratic Party leader Joe Biden was handed his sham election win by globalist-aligned leftist media. This report further notes he walked on a stage to talk to a half-full parking lot of cars to give a victory speech in front of a few hundred people.
Yo, back over.
Trump had a relaxing
If you want to come in.
where he stopped to take photos with a couple that were getting married, was in good spirits, and told people there, "Don't worry, we're going to win." Okay, and that's rumor mill news and so forth and so on. Now, this is on another site, Nuke Pro. Almost an epiphany. The riots and violence are still to come.